Hi, it's Emma from City of Portsmouth College, and I'm an English lecturer here. I just wanted to go through a exam question which came up on paper one of the summer exams. Quite a few of my students told me after the exam that they struggled with it, so we thought it would be a good idea just to give you a quick overview and what you need to do for this question. So here it is. It's question number 6. It says, for this question, refer to the whole of text 2. In my view, this text shows how bad working conditions were in coal mines. Based on your evaluation of the text, how far do you agree with this opinion? Use examples from the text to support your evaluation. And it's worth 12 marks. So with this question, there are no bullet points to guide you, but the basics that you need to remember are to really try and keep to the focus of the point that's made, i.e., how bad was it to work in these coal mines? So you're looking for 3 or 4 quotes, I would say 3 or 4, and you're also looking to name language and structural techniques. So, with the language, it could be metaphors, similes, personification, or you could talk about emotive language or vivid imagery. And with structure, you're looking at sentence types. Are they long or short? You could be looking at tone, any repetition of words. So, just keep these ideas in mind. And then you're going to structure your response by using either, you could use P, point, evidence, explain, or squids, statement, quote, infer, develop, zoom. I know everyone's got a different preferred method, so whichever suits you, whichever works for you, keep those in mind. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take one paragraph from the whole text because there's about 4 paragraphs on here and show how you can pick out a couple of quotes and talk about language and structure. So remember, the whole point of the question was you're giving your opinion on whether the writer has shown you that the conditions in the coal mine were really bad. So you're looking for any kind of like negative words, really. I think this paragraph here is quite good, where they're talking about the children who work in the coal mines, and they say one class of sufferers in the mine moved my companion more than any other. A number of children who attend at the doors to open them when the horses pass through, and who in this duty are compelled to linger through their lives in silence, solitude, and darkness for 6 pence a day. So I'm going to highlight the quote here: in silence, solitude, and darkness. You could say there's a couple of language techniques in that short phrase. Silence and solitude, you could say it's alliteration, or because we've got the S's there, we could say it's sibilance. You could say the writers used a list or rule of 3. So there you've got your language techniques. And those words, silence, solitude, and darkness, they really show that the working conditions were pretty bad. I'll just continue on. When I first came to one of these doors, I saw it open without perceiving by what means, till looking behind it, I beheld a miserable little wretch standing without a light, silent and motionless, and resembling, in the abjectness of its condition, some reptile peculiar to the place, rather than a human creature. Okay, and it tells you in the glossary, abjectness means hopelessness and misery. So I'm going to just highlight miserable little wretch. So don't forget, in language you can talk about adjectives. So we've got the adjective of miserable, and little wretch it's a noun to describe the child, but it's that word wretch is saying that they're really hopeless. So there's a couple of phrases there. I'm going to just highlight this phrase here: without a light, silent and motionless. So that phrase there, we can say that it's got a quite dark, depressing tone. If you talk about tone, you are talking about structure. You can also write about the fact that the sentences are quite long and detailed. In Victorian times, they did like to write really long sentences. The effect of this is it builds up a lot of detail. It builds up, a strong image in the mind of the reader of what the conditions were like in the coal mine. So you can use that. You might see some other language devices in this, little segment of the text. But if you can just get in mind that you're looking for any structure and any language, you're off to a good start. And then you just need to put your quotes into your P or P's a paragraph, and I'm just going to show you how to do that now. I would say it's a lot easier to agree with the statement. If you don't agree, so long as you back it up with quotes and a good reason why, that's absolutely fine. But they do tend to word the question so that there are quotes that you can find to back it up. I'm going to change that to very. You can cross things out, don't worry about it. Okay, so here I've just made a simple point, got my quote, used subject terminology, and given my inference, given my own understanding, and talked about how the reader might feel. Okay, so then you would just do the same, but you would talk about a structural technique. So you could just say, okay, so add in the connective furthermore, talking about tone, that's your structure. And it doesn't have to be a great big long quote that you use. The exam board are really interested in your own ideas, your own impressions, so your inference and how it makes you feel as a reader. So for this question, I would say, do about 3 to 4 of these, but just by using that point, evidence, explain, and aiming to get in at least one language and one structural technique, you are on your way to getting decent marks for this question. So hopefully next time when it comes to it, you won't miss it out, and you'll feel more confident in answering it.